Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Johnson keeping his speakership and the cost to Trump. So, the vote took place, and a lot of reporting is saying that Johnson got his speakership on the first round of voting, which is true in a technical sense. But that also required keeping that round open to allow members to change their votes. In the first pass-through, 3 Republicans voted against Johnson: Massey of Kentucky, Norman of South Carolina, and Self of Texas, voted in opposition and selected other Republicans as their preferred speaker. 6 others held their vote and didn't vote for anybody. But we'll come back to those and why they matter in a minute. Once it became apparent Johnson couldn't win, Trump interrupted his golf game to get on the phone and start calling during the vote. He called one representative and asked them to hand the phone to Representative Norman. That apparently wasn't enough, and Johnson went into the cloakroom with Norman and Self, along with a couple of far-right figures. Trump had to get on the phone again. After a bit of discussion, the members emerged from the cloakroom, and Norman and Self switched their votes to be in favor of Johnson. What did Johnson promise? Well, Johnson played the holdouts on one issue. He promised an independent panel of experts to work with the Department of Government Efficiency and Congress to implement spending reforms. Yeah. So now, there will be 2 independent advisory panels on spending that don't actually have any power. That doesn't seem very efficient. Johnson is under no obligation to follow the advice, but the fiscal hawk faction signaled something during the vote that many might have missed. In an attempt to make sure he didn't end up McCarthy'd, Johnson changed the rules, and a motion to vacate, which could oust him, now requires 9 Republican representatives instead of just 1. Remember those 6 Republicans I said we'd come back to who held their vote during the first pass? 6 who held their vote, plus 3 who voted for someone else. 6 plus 3 is 9. That's the fiscal hawk insurance policy. They have the 9 members needed for the motion. So, Johnson got to keep his speakership, but not on his own. He needed lots of help from Trump. That means that Johnson is going to have an issue later when it comes to tough party line votes. For Trump, he put a lot of political capital into this ahead of time, still had to intervene during the vote, and the fiscal hawks walked away with an insurance policy. Trump is going to have headaches later when it comes to the budget. Trump campaigned on the national debt and budget concerns, but many of his policies are in direct contradiction to that rhetoric. The fiscal hawks actually want to do what he talked about when it comes to the debt. They aren't going to like Trump's self-proclaimed king of debt nickname, and the actual effect of a lot of his policies match his chosen descriptor. The dysfunction in the Republican Party is still there. It didn't actually unify behind Johnson. And one of the factions most likely to be disruptive signaled their willingness to be disruptive. And they let everybody know that they had the votes for a motion to vacate if necessary. It should be no surprise that the fiscal hawks can count to 9. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.